Hello everybody, I'm using a molded stone from the molds from Happy Dotting Company on Etsy, and I've painted my stone black. It's now dry. You will need a flatter brush straight across, okay? So it's very straight across, or you can use a watercolor brush. I'm going to be using some watercolors, but not for the whole thing, just for the background. Now, I did purchase some Iuile watercolor pigments. Iuile pigments, oh my goodness. And I made up my own watercolor paints with the pigments. There's a tutorial coming for how I make my watercolor binder, as promised. You guys have been asking for a while, but I've had some problems with editing and getting everything up, but it's on its way, I promise you. So using just a little bit of distilled water, make sure you try to use distilled water when you're working with your paint. And I'm using my fine lining brush, as well as that brush that goes straight across. And I'm trying to, make some stripes of different sizes. They're not perfect. You can make it easier on yourself and pencil on some lines, and then follow that template with your watercolor. Make sure not to use too much water, because you want to keep that separation between each stripe. You don't want it to run everywhere. So be very, very, very careful with how much water you are using. I don't like putting water into my water brush because I find that too much water comes out with what I'm doing with it. I'm not actually like painting on a canvas, but I've done this stripe thing with a bunch of rocks, as you could just see, and it all stays together. But I'm using art resin to seal my stones. I've never had a problem with any of this moving, ever. Put your tips and recommendations in the comment section for keeping that watercolor in place, but I'm using art resin and a black matte coat underneath the watercolor. So you can see, I'm going to list in the description the two types of water or pigment I bought from Iuile Pigments on Etsy. You don't have to purchase what I buy for myself. Okay. I keep getting these comments in my YouTube, and it's upsetting me. People are almost accusing me of trying to get you to buy stuff. I do not get sponsored by anyone, and what you see me using in my videos, I've paid for myself. You do not have to go out and buy exactly what I'm using. I'm just giving you guys some inspiration, information, and in no way do you have to open up your pocketbook or your checkbook or your Visa or whatever. Please don't accuse me of trying to make you do that, because I'm doing all of this for free, okay? And I buy all of my stuff myself. So I really just want to get that out there and let everybody know that this is not my intention. So please stop saying it. I appreciate that. And I know there's lots of you out there that know that that's not what I'm doing. So thank you to those people. So I'm mixing together. This is my background, guys. I've used two different shades of watercolor, metallic watercolor. It's color shifting. So you can kind of see like blue, purple, maroon, green. It's going to look amazing. I can't wait to show it to you once it's been resined. But over top of this beautiful background that is just to inspire you, you don't have to use the same watercolors. You don't have to do the same lines. You do whatever you want to the background, because really the focus is the February flower. Flower of the month, guys. Now there are two. One is a violet and one is an iris. But I've never painted an iris before. And I do have pansies, which look similar to violets. already a tutorial for those pansies, and if you haven't seen them, I will put that in the description for you to click on. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to attempt to do an iris today. Now I did mix together a little bit of teal with a little bit of bright green to do the longer leaves. And now I used classic green for this little portion here. And now violet pansy, because I'm just going to kind of start off with a darker purple. You don't have to use the same colors that I'm using. Just a dark purple would work. And lavender, that's what color I'm using now. So I'm going to be using a mixture of lavender, white, violet, pansy, perfect purple, just a bunch of different shades of purple. And I'm going to lighten it some areas with white and darken with some areas with eggplant purple. And I will list all of these colors in the description of this video so that you can refer back to it and see what colors you have that are close to that color. But by all means, just use different shades of purple, whatever you have, okay? Because all you have to do really is start off with a nice dark purple. I have a nice dark purple that I use all the time, and it's from my dollar store. And it's a big bottle, and I use that. And if I need lighter purple, I add white. So if you don't have the same colors that I'm using, you can tell where it needs to be lighter purple and where it needs to be darker purple while I'm doing all of this. So now I do start off using a paintbrush to get it in there, to get the shape that I want, but then I sponge it out because I don't like to see those brush strokes. Now that's just me. You don't have to use a sponge and do that. But it does make for blending a lot easier, and I am doing a lot of blending on this iris today. So I've added some white to the tops, to the certain areas of the petals that I want to lighten, and I'm blending it in using different shades of lavender and purple. And I'm just going to show you slowly. It's a bit blurry right now. I apologize for that. But I'm going to show you slowly where you need to put the darker purple and where the lighter purple needs to be. And yes, guys, I'm going to be using gold today. When I finished this, I was so happy with it because I love February. Okay, that's my son's birthday, February 11th. My favorite number is 11, and his birthday is February 11th. And I love purple. So I love February. I love purple. February gets me closer to March, which is the month of rebirth and spring and all of that. And it's my birthday. So yeah, I love February, and I really love purple. And this, when I finished it, I was so proud of it. It might be one of my favorites. But you guys can let me know in the comments what you think. And yes, gold glitter. Oh, it's going to be so beautiful. I've missed you guys. I have tutorials ready to go, guys. Ready to go. But I've had major issues with my phone. That's what I edit everything on. Is a phone, and I was having so many issues and storage issues, and I had to erase things, and I had to re-record things, and so it's late. I wanted this to be up very early in the month of February, but unfortunately it's not up until today. So there will be more coming, a few more, because they're waiting to go. So I just want to tell you guys I've missed you, but I have been thinking of you while struggling with my editing. So I'm using a little blending brush. You guys have seen me use this before. I have a tutorial. In every video description, there is a tutorial for my fine lining brush, my resin tutorial, and my blending brush. And basically I just DIY'd a brush, an old brush, and I turned it into a tiny little baby sponge. So for those areas that you can't get into with a sponge, you have a little baby sponge. So take a look in the description of this video for my blending brush, because that's what that is. And it works perfectly. So I'm trying to darken areas where it kind of cups inside of the petals, but trust me, this is hard to do if you've never done this before. They're very wiggly, fluttery little petals, okay? So there's lots of wrinkles in them, and they're unpredictable. They don't have like a specific shape. So yeah, you can look up pictures of irises and go from there. If this is just a mess to you, it might just look like a wiggly purple monster with a beautiful background. You guys will see it. I promise. I was very proud of myself by the time I was done, because I did have some doubt throughout. I had some doubt throughout, but I persevered. I just kept going, and I ended up loving it. So now there's going to be 2 more fluttery petals behind here, but they're going to be a little bit darker because they're behind. So they're shaded a little bit more. They're going to be a little darker. So I'm just adding some eggplant and violet pansy and smushing it all in there. I like the effect that I get when I sponge things on, because it kind of looks airbrushed and things blend a little bit easier, and you have to blend fast when you're working with acrylic paint. I find that I've been told by oil painting artists, like, how do you get it done so quickly? Acrylic paint dries so fast. I'm like, oh, a lot of quick blending. I have sped up this video. I don't really blend that fast. But you got to go fast, right? Because it just dries and then it looks like a mess. I'm just lightening. Oh, of course. And there is a notification. I've been super good with not having notifications throughout my tutorials, and of course that had to happen. I apologize. It's off now. I am just blending lighter at the tips of these frilly little petals, but I'm keeping it pretty dark back there. It's all coming together. It does kind of look like an iris. Kind of, right? If you see marks on my hands, that would be my cat Max, who loves to play like a kitten, but he's strong like bull. And yeah, so it's painful for me, especially when he starts rabbit kicking. Do you guys call it rabbit kicking? I don't know. I feel like people just generally understand what I mean when I say that, but it could be called something different where you are. Yeah, he grabs onto my wrist and then just starts kicking and kicking. And he loves it, especially if I have a full sleeve on. He loves it. So yeah, I have some cat boo-boos. So this is looking very nice. Can you see the colors in that background? Like when I turn it in certain lights, it looks amazing. Now, I'm going to use some dark purple. So eggplant purple is what I'm actually using. But dark purple. And I'm putting some little veins, just little ones. It kind of looks weird, but it'll all come together and you won't think, ew, there's veins. It'll look really pretty, I promise. And I'm going to sponge out where it's darker purple. I'm going to like kind of sponge so you can't see the lines very well. I'm going to hide it so they just kind of appear in the lighter area. If you know what I mean. You'll see. You'll see. Look at the background. So I'm sponging out. Sponging and then putting more veins. Just kind of work the veins upward. Once again, take a look at pictures of irises so that you can see what I'm talking about if this doesn't make sense to you in any way. And also add a little bit of water to this purple that you're using, just so it maneuvers in a veiny fashion. Do not take a drink every time I say the word vein. I apologize, it's blurry again. I promise it will come back into focus shortly and you're not missing anything. I'm just putting the veins on. I'm drinking coffee. What are you drinking? Do you have a sip of wine while you're painting? I try to drink sometimes, but I just have to have like a certain atmosphere in order to enjoy an alcoholic beverage. And you know, in the past couple years, there hasn't been much of an atmosphere. I'll tell you. No social atmosphere whatsoever. But yeah, I'm still putting some veins on, and this part's super boring. Super duper boring. So where am I going to put the gold, you guys? I am going to outline absolutely everything in gold. But first, I'm using my blending brush again because that leaf is so skinny. Those leaves are so skinny, and the stem. But I'm just adding more of my bright green mixed with teal. I'm doing a second coat of it. But the second coat I'm doing with a blending brush, not a paintbrush. Now you can add a little bit of a lighter color in there if you want to lighten certain areas like this, just along like one side of it maybe, just to maybe show some light on the leaf, just some highlight. You can hear my cat Maple out there. Promise you she's not starving. She's just very, very talkative. Very talkative. Okay, now some yellow. I'm going to put some little sprigs. This looks like grass. I'm using my fine lining brush again. And I'm going to pretend like I can see behind on those petals too. And add a little bit of yellow on those petals back there. And on this one. But make sure you don't, get it onto your other petals. Because it'll look better once it's outlined, I promise. So I'm going to use some of my beautiful Folkart Mayan gold out of, oh, come on, phone. Out of focus again. But you can see the gold is very shiny. There we go. So yeah, I'm just outlining absolutely everything. It kind of ends up looking like something done with enamel. When it's done, looks absolutely gorgeous. You know I love gold, and I haven't had enough of a gold fix, I don't think, over the past couple of days. So I appreciate it that much more. Make sure you keep all those wiggles in the leaves, in the petals, and outline everything. Absolutely everything. Then, once that's done, I'm going to outline it in black, making sure that I don't lose any of my gold. And if I do, I fix it because I really want to see all that gold. If you don't like that, you don't have to. You can outline it in white, black, whatever you want. Silver, copper, rose gold. If you can find like a metallic lavender, that would look pretty too. But yeah, I really like the gold. You guys know that. It's my favorite. And it's so weird. I don't wear gold jewelry. I only wear white gold or silver. And yeah, I just love the looks of gold on my rocks though. It's my favorite thing. So making sure to keep my gold. I'm outlining everything and separating it from that beautiful background. And then maybe I'll show you a couple of items that are at my desk while I put it in its resin bath. And then I'll show it to you once it's ready, once it's all shiny. So don't forget, check the description of the video for the pigments that I purchased from Iuile pigments on Etsy, so that you know exactly what colors I used. Some people just really want to know the exact colors. That's why I list them in the description. But by all means, you do not have to buy those pigments and make them yourself and the whole thing. I will be putting a bunch of paint buttons into my Etsy shop, as well as this beautiful iris. and some other beautiful rocks and phone grips. Don't forget, if you buy any of my phone grips, they are interchangeable, the tops. Look at this. Look at this beautiful background. Look at the colors. It changes so much, and you couldn't even see all that change of color the whole time I was painting. But honestly, look at that. Look at. I'm in love. I'm in love. This might be one of my favorite rocks, but we'll see. We'll see what it looks like once it's all shiny in with resin. We'll see. We'll see. But first, what's at my desk? Here's a cute little gnome on a Santorini stone. I saved that stone just for this Valentine's Day. I have some more stripy ones so that you can see how it looks with different colors. Isn't that beautiful? Lots of watercolor, metallic watercolor. Someone said they were, wondering if I was going to use acrylic paint still. Of course. We did today. Doesn't this look amazing, you guys? Look at the color on that. It's so beautiful. And notice none of that paint, that watercolor, none of it ran. It still looks exactly like it did when it was dry. So I'm not sure what I'm doing right. Maybe it's the binder that I make, but it just stays where I put it. So I don't really know. Let's take a closer look. That's the beautiful color shifting watercolor paint that I made. It changes like blue, green, purple, maroon. It just looks so pretty, you guys. I really enjoyed making this one. And here's a picture so you can just kind of stare at it for a moment. I love you. Thank you guys so much for coming here and spending time with me again. Hit that subscribe button just in case you have been unsubscribed by YouTube robots. And hit the like button if I made you smile or take a drink at least once. I love you guys. Keep painting. Bye.